Stay tuned for tonight's adventure with the Fat Man.
Okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time of day it is, I hope it's good to be where you are, because I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Baltimore Fats, and this is That's Scientainment. Yeah. Okay, guys, have fun. And we're going to start by looking at the National Academy of Sciences, but before we muddy our boots looking at Alexander Backy and some of the founders, I wanted to poke around a little bit in the present-day NAS, because they went and did this on me, right? This is the logo and banner for their webpage here, right? And I like the logo. It's like a Greek, somebody in a toga holding a torch pointing the way. So their science is pointing the way with their lit torch, right? And here we have Saturn and, a solar system scene here. But the thing about this is that last week when I recorded The Ties That Bind, of course I always have a couple takes that get left by the wayside. And so this is just a screenshot of that. And I was commenting on the logo, but the banner's changed because here it was the double helix of the DNA strand, right? So why the change? Do they have these banners on like a rotation or something? And I just so happened to be lucky enough to catch that exchange from the double helix to the solar system. I don't know, but while I was pondering that, I decided to check out, what does the interwebs tell us about the trustworthiness of the National Academy of Sciences? And it took me a couple of searches, but I hit on this one, which was criticism of the National Academy of Science. And I love this first one. It talks about the surplus of the AIDS research monkeys. Looking through, it's right, under fire, National Academies toughened conflict of, and this is an interest about conflict of interest, right? And this is the one that I ended up using here, right? It says, are the National Academies fair and balanced? And this is from the Center for Science in the Public Interest, right? Are the National Academies fair and balanced? And this was in July of 2006. And I want to note here, because we're going to talk about this in a little bit, that this conflict of interest article was from 2017, and here we're looking at 2006. Hey, 1 in 5 scientists on NAS issue panels tied to firms involved in issue. It says Congress created the National Academy of Science to provide independent, science-based advice to policymakers and government. But according to a year-long review of 21 NAS committees conducted by the nonprofit Center for Science in the Public Interest, nearly 1 out of every 5 scientists appointed to an NAS panel has direct financial ties to the companies or industry groups with a direct stake in the outcome of the study. 1 in 5, that's 20%. 20% of these panels, 20% of the membership of these panels stands to financially benefit from the findings of these studies that the NAS is commissioned to do by the government. I love here it says that the CSPI doesn't dispute the high quality of reports produced by the National Academies. Right, high quality reports doesn't necessarily mean accurate or truthful. Right? They got a nice good paper quality. The colors are bright. It's a high quality report, I mean, look at that pie chart. Look at that pie chart. All right. Of the 320 committee members evaluated, 18% had direct conflicts of interest. Right, 2006. And it says that the NAS needs to be more transparent and work harder to find scientists without conflicts of interest. And so the article goes on to talk about, how the NAS should redefine what it means to have conflict of interest, right? And it says that legislation that tried to bar scientists with financial ties to drug makers and medical device companies from serving on FDA advisory committees, sponsored by Representative Maurice Hinchey, a Democrat out of New York, passed the House in May and will be considered by a conference committee in the fall. The CSPI, it backs this measure. So I went kind of looking for that, right? And I found this in the National Library of Medicine, right? It's the advisory committees at the FDA, the Hinchey Amendment, and conflict of interest waivers. And so the abstract of this study was to look at the amendment, right? And it says here that this amendment creates a problem, as ties to industry create the very expertise that FDA values in its outside advisors. Under the Hinchey Amendment, these very ties would prevent them from serving as advisors to the FDA during the drug approval process. The author of this study opposes this change in the law and argues that the Hinchey Amendment would undermine congressional efforts in 1962 and 1989 to carefully balance the goals of attracting qualified experts and protecting agency decision making. Right? But we see this is 2006, right? But we know that in 2017, right, there was a lot of brouhaha over conflict of interest in the national academies. And so now, does this article have any other resources here? All right, and I like this one, Probity Gone Nuts. All right, so click on that one. All right, and all it says is, right, it has no authors listed, right? And this is the thinking behind the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's draft guidance on financial conflicts of interest for outside experts is deeply flawed. All right, that's the abstract here. No actual paper being written, but you can comment in these other places. All right, so I clicked on this one. No abstract available. Nothing here. All right, financial conflicts are related to voting patterns. All right, nothing, no abstract available. You know, they're not letting us inside this process here at all. And this is PubMed.gov, right? The National Library of Medicine. You know, what do I need to file a Freedom of Information Act to get this stuff? You know, it's really unbelievable. All right, so now this is the official publication of the CSPI's findings, right? And it says, ensuring independence and objectivity at the national academies. Right? And in its preface, right, it says that unfortunately we found serious deficiencies in the NAS's committee selection process that could jeopardize the quality of future NAS reports. Right in the preface, in its table of contents, you know, the evolving role of the national academies. And, you know, that's chapter 1, chapter 2, conflicts of interest, and so forth. You know, this is freely out there. I'll try to remember to leave a link, but I love that the study findings, the first finding is a failure to eliminate direct conflicts of interest. The second finding, a failure to achieve balance. You know, the National Academy of Science is super trustworthy, right? Absolutely. Right? A failure to disclose information about conflicts of interest. 2006. Yet, as we were saying, in 2017, they were having the same issue. And unfortunately, they want me to subscribe before I can read that one, so I'm not going to do that. But, you know, so clearly in the 11 years since that study, they really didn't clean up their act at all. And it makes me wonder, you know, what's happening with them today. You know, could they be skirting those lines? And so one thought I had was about the budget. You know, how much? All right, so the annual budget for the NAS is about $200 million, which doesn't seem like all that much money compared to like the billions and trillions we've been talking about recently. But I did want to point out that it says about 80% of the budget is derived from federal government contracts, and the rest comes from the Academy's own endowments and other private sources. So again, you know, very much answerable to the government and its own constituents, right? And not so much the general public. You know, and this is also very interesting when you see that the headquarters for the National Academy of Sciences is located just a hop, skip, and a jump from the White House. You know, very convenient. I'm sure not that coincidental there. And, you know, when I was looking for the budget for the NAS, I came across this webpage here. Breakdown of science funding in 2021. Appropriations requests. All right, so what this webpage does is it shows the budgets for all of these scientific agencies, what they ask for and what they received. You know, and some of them are really interesting in terms of what they ask for and what they get. And, of course, they attribute this, of course, to the COVID pandemic, right? And that all this extra money freed up for some of these agencies. But it's really kind of astounding. Right? Like the National Institute of Health. You know, they requested for 2021 $38.6 billion, but they were awarded anywhere from $5 to $8 billion more than they requested. You know, it gets really amazing to see who gets what, you know, looking through this. And I'll try to remember to leave a link. You know, the CDC, they asked for $7 billion, but they got almost $1 billion more. Almost $1 billion extra bucks. You know, whereas other agencies don't make out so well, like the Department of Agriculture is getting shafted. Right? The National Institute of Food and Agriculture, they asked for over $1.5 billion, but they only got just under $1 billion. Right? The Agriculture and Food Research Initiative asked for $600 million, but only got $435 million. So a significant decrease in funds there. I don't know. You want to talk about an area that could probably use more money? Food and agriculture might be it, especially with all this genetic engineering going on with the foods and stuff. Maybe there's better ways to do this stuff. The Department of Energy didn't get shafted like the Department of Agriculture. They asked for just under $6 billion, but were awarded up to $7.5 billion, or more than $1.5 billion, possibly more than what they requested. Really ridiculous. And then I found this: other relevant agencies, right? The National Science Foundation. They asked for $7.7 billion, but got almost $1 billion more, right? And I'd never heard of the National Science Foundation. And so looking them up real quick, and again, this is a rabbit hole for another day, but it says that it's an independent agency of the United States government. And this, of course, is oxymoron in and of itself: independent United States government, right? And it supports the fundamental research and education in all the non-medical fields of science and engineering. All the non-medical fields, yet their logo here couldn't look more like the coronavirus animation that they show us, right? Really unbelievable. And so, again, there's more to go into with the National Science Foundation, and it's interesting that this is now an officially funded group by the United States government, whereas the NAS is used as a consulting firm for the government, and the government only has to pay them for the work that they do. But this organization is federally funded, right? But so now we have an idea a little bit about the money and aspect. So I wanted to look a little bit more at the Academy, right? And so here, this is the National Library of Medicine, right? And it says, right, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences, in service to science and society. And it says that the Academy shall, whenever called upon by any department of the government, investigate, examine, experiment, and report upon any subject of science or art. And so now here we have that similarity to the Royal Society, and their advancement of the arts and sciences. Clearly, the Royal Society and the National Academy of Sciences and the federal government consider art a science and want to use it in the same way. Okay, so yesterday I was having some life interruptus issues, and I have to cut this video over a couple of sessions, which is not something that I generally like to do, but it happens from time to time. And so when I was setting things back up this morning to finish, I noticed that the National Academy of Sciences has changed their banner back to the double helix, which is really interesting. So maybe it is just a rotation here, or maybe they were listening. Maybe it's apophenia running wild. Who knows? I like to believe that it is because that's fun. But now, picking up where we left off, I was talking about how the federal government and the NAS and the Royal Society and so forth, they want to treat art as science, right, and use it the same way. And that becomes really interesting going back here, because the National Academy of Science promotes something that they have called the Science and Entertainment Exchange, right? So I want to visit them online real quick. And of course, this is the one I was hoping to land on. 844 needs science, right on the Hollywood sign. Couldn't be more subtle, right? So for some reason, this link wasn't really working that well. So this is the About page, right? And it says that the Science and Entertainment Exchange, the Exchange, is a program of the National Sciences that connects entertainment industry professionals with top scientists and engineers to create a synergy between accurate science and engaging storylines in both film and TV programming. A synergy between science and film, right? Scientainment, right? That's what I'm dubbing it, right? They're trying to create this hybrid monster between science and entertainment. This newly christened Scientainment. Because we've seen it's no secret, it's out there. If you're paying attention at all and have a mind or eyes to see it, they've been using entertainment, science fiction, and otherwise to condition the human psyche. I mean, that's just something that's been happening, right? It's hard to deny, right? And so they talk about, of course, the history of the NAS here, right? And it says that the vice chair of the Exchange Advisory Board says that we want writers and directors to feel comfortable and to know exploring science will only open up the number of creative possibilities for their storytelling. Science is imaginative and creative. Imaginative and creative. It brings new possibilities to light. New ones. At its best, science is an adventure, an ongoing search for what is new and engaging. An ongoing search or an ongoing creation of what people should find new and engaging, right? In both film and television, the compelling nature of science is shaping storylines. Right? Science is allowing filmmakers to sharpen their narrative focus, build new realities, and portray the astounding capacity of our existence without dulling credibility. As if science doesn't do enough to dull its own credibility with these conflict of interests and, falsifying data and the publication bias and shit like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The exchange assists the entertainment industry in harnessing science as a creative means. By connecting industry professionals with scientists and engineers, the exchange can help bring the reality of engaging science to the creative arts. What is the reality of engaging science? It's really tricky, because language has so many meanings, and, it's just amazing. Right? And now this is kind of cool. Right? The Science and Entertainment Exchange relies on research like that which is conducted by our friends at the Gina Davis Institute to guide our work. And I was like, Gina Davis, right? The actress from The Fly, and all right, and it is, right? It's the same actress, right? And it's the only research-based organization working collaboratively with the entertainment industry to create gender balance, foster inclusion, and reduce negative stereotyping in family entertainment media. Make of that what you will, right? But really the most interesting thing about it is their sponsor. Scratch that. Second most interesting thing, all of these little side projects in this foundation, right? Look at the logo. Hey, make of that what you will as well. But where is it? Their sponsor, right? The Gina Davis Institute on Gender and Media is fiscally sponsored by Mount St. Mary's University. They provide the administrative and financial support that allow us to focus on fulfilling our organizational mission. All right. And so now I think that's really interesting, right? Mount St. Mary's, right? That's got to be a Catholic school, right? And of course it is, right? They are unstoppable. Mount St. Mary's. They have solidarity with Black Lives Matter. They have an eye on the stars. They want you to spread your wings and fly, right? But I'm thinking, now wait a minute, Mount St. Mary's, not only is it Catholic, and it's kind of unusual, I would think, it shows a very sort of progressive stance on the Catholic Church part that they would be so openly promotive of this, And I guess that's the way the Catholic Church has been swinging for some time now. I don't know, I haven't really been paying attention. But I wanted to find out if there was any connection to the Mount St. Mary's that is here in Maryland, right? Which, of course, is something I've come across looking back in the history of Maryland, right? Which, is in Emmitsburg, and it was founded in 1808, and it's the second largest Catholic seminary. But the only connection I could find between the two actually is in name only. All right, but I do want to point out that the Mount St. Mary's University in Los Angeles, right there, where is it? Their mascot is Athena. They're a Catholic school whose name is St. Mary's. So why isn't their mascot Mary, Mother of God? I don't get it. It is absolutely unbelievable. All right, so now getting back now to and so they're going to make a difference through collaboration, right? The benefits of a collaborative relationship are clear. For filmmakers, science advisors add a sense of realism and legitimacy to their creative vision. But perhaps even more important, scientists provide a window into the clear array of real-life science stories that are happening around us every day, all of which have the capacity to provide the inspiration for fresh, unique, and compelling narratives. All right? And for scientists, the exchange offers an opportunity to expand the reach of their work, moving their research out of the lab and into the public eye, offering the promise to improve attitudes towards science and galvanizing interest in further discovery, creating and perpetuating a narrative, right, through entertainment. One thing I really like about this narrative as they're pitching it here is how much help, the scientific community is giving the entertainment community, right? I mean, with their science, and helping them create these compelling narratives, fresh and new and everything like that. And I'm thinking, gee, looking around the landscape of science fiction, it doesn't seem to be all that new, How many boundaries are they really pushing with science fiction these days, and is the technology really going in a way that they show us, like in the Avengers movies and stuff, where you bring up this digital array in the space in front of you and you can touch it, just touching the light, you kind of get a mental picture of what I'm talking about there. I mean, is Is that real technology coming? You know, I don't know. But one thing that I don't really get a sense of in the talking about here is how much the scientists are benefiting from the entertainment side, so they paint this picture of how the entertainment industry is benefiting from science, but how is science benefiting from the entertainment industry really, other than being its propagandist arm, Because that's how the scientific community benefits, right? It uses entertainment as its propaganda arm. We just have to, doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the way the entertainment industry has been going for the last, 20 years or so, with these contagion movies and Outbreak and all the zombie plagues and everything like that, it really, it shouldn't take a super genius like Wile E. Coyote to notice this, right? And I have to wonder how long this has been going on. And the earliest film that I can remember is the Andromeda Strain, right, from 1971. And I think it's amazing that their one sheet here, the poster that they use, has that same hexagon shape that the Gina Davis Institute had, right? And the YouTube studio has it. And if you've ever looked into, Saturn and that kind of research with the control that Saturn has, which is fun research to look at, really quite amazing that this hexagon shape is just exploding all over the place. Right? And let's not forget also the benefit that science gets out of this relationship with astronomy and NASA and heliocentrism, right? With Frederick Ordway's relationship with Stanley Kubrick and the creation of A Space Odyssey with Arthur C. Clarke. Right? It's really incredible. Right? The way they were certainly working closely together, tight-knit group here to create their Scientainment. Right? Okay, so that's what I have on this one, guys. When we come back, I'm going to be looking at Alexander Bakke and the founders of the NAS a little more closely. And, it's interesting, their ties to the military, which founds the NAS ties to entertainment, so really sort of tightening that circle of the military, the government, and the entertainment industry, and how that could be used as a propagandist tool to manipulate the masses, right? It's not that huge a stretch, especially the way the Mud City Paradigm Puzzle Tree lays it out there, right? And so remember, guys, just because you don't know the truth doesn't mean you can't have fun with the lies, right? And so until the next one, cheers.